Hey, what's up, everybody? This is Charles Sebastian, and welcome you guys to another episode of the Dreamers Pro Show, where we cover everything from sports, hot topics, classic debates, entertainment, and we give you guys a fresh perspective on things and how we see them. And today we have a very serious show in store for y'all. But before we get into it, please make sure you like the video, sub to the channel. Make sure you follow me on Instagram. My handle is CTABANZ. Let's get into today's topic. So, today a video was sent to me from Mitch, who works here with us, about something that Charles Barkley recently had to say on The Ringer when he was talking to Bill Simmons. What Charles Barkley was talking about was essentially the same thing we discussed 2 days ago on our channel, where we were reacting to some comments that Mark Cuban made on Gil's Arena. And essentially what they were talking about is the current state of affairs around the way the NBA goes about its business, and how it's structured itself with all of these various streaming platforms. As you guys know, the NBA just inked an extension for a $77 billion deal with a bunch of various streaming platforms. You have some cable networks like ESPN paying them $2.8 billion per annum. I think you have Peacock, you have Amazon as well. And what they've decided to do was they took their entire inventory and broke it up between all of these platforms. So if you want to watch all of their games, you essentially have to be signed up to multiple platforms just to watch the NBA. Now, I don't know if the NBA pays attention to its average consumer's income and what's going on in the States for them to think that people have this disposable income to just be signing up to all of these platforms for people to watch the games. Clearly, they didn't care about that. And Mark Cuban thinks that the NBA is making a serious mistake by doing this. So what we want to quickly do is play what Mark Cuban had to say from a former owner's perspective, and then we're going to come back and continue on the show. Take a listen to his comments here on Gil's Arena.
What do you see as the biggest opportunities and challenges for the NBA over the next decade?
I think the whole media space is really funky, right? That social media is more of a connection to fans. Mm-hmm. Like, particularly with the NBA, kids today are more fans of the players than they are the teams. Mm-hmm. Like when we grew up, you're a Lakers fan, right? I'm a Steelers fan. I'm a Pirates fan. All Pittsburgh teams, right? Now it's just like you see Steph, and Steph comes to town, and there's a ton of kids with Steph jerseys on. Yep. That wasn't going to happen 10 years ago, pre-social media. So I think, trying to monetize and recognize that, social media is going to change and impact how we market our players, market our teams, and market our product. I think the fact that private equity is buying into so many teams, I think is a problem, because, for the first 20 years that I was an owner, I and other owners too would be pushing the fan experience, make it affordable. Now it's all about valuations, and so everybody just, if you're a private equity and you have investors in these things called special purpose vehicles, all you want to do is the value of the team to go up. Mm-hmm. And if you're trying to just jack up ticket prices, jack up costs, jack up merchandise sales, that's not necessarily best for fans. Mm-hmm. And so I think fans are getting priced out. So I think that's an issue. I think, the ultimate business question for the NBA is, how will our games impact streaming subscriptions for our new streaming partners? Because one of the reasons these numbers went up so high is Peacock streaming, I think it was them, they did a deal with the NFL, like one special deal for like a playoff game. Yep. And got like a zillion new subscribers.
Well, I was one of them.
Right, and everybody is betting that's what's going to happen. If there's a lot of churn or we don't get those subscriptions for those partners, it's going to be tough for them, right? And so I think that's a big issue. But in terms of the players themselves, the NBA is in good hands. Mm-hmm. In terms of the quality of the game, the NBA is in good shape. In terms of taking it to Europe, like, I think for the whole time I was there, I was like, why are we giving our best players to the Olympics so that Comcast can make money and the Olympic Committee can make, because the NBA players were for the Summer Olympics, the NBA players were the draw, right? Mm-hmm. Why are we giving it free? Why don't we create our own World Cup and do like soccer did, right? For the Olympics, 23 and under, great. But let's play Slovenia against, all the different countries and own it. It would be enormous. Yep. It would be the biggest basketball event ever. And David Stern and then Adam were like, that's not our deal with FIBA and we can't do it. And I think, now they're trying to put teams in Europe to find a new way to raise revenues and margins and everything. And I think it'll do okay, but they're missing the big opportunity.
Excellent. So you heard what he had to say. So he sends me this clip of Charles Barkley, as I said. Now, if you know anything about Charles Barkley, he's not one to bite his tongue, and he's going to say things exactly the way he feels. And I think that's what sets him apart from virtually everybody talking sports, but particularly anybody talking NBA. So Charles Barkley goes on the Ringer, and he essentially said the NBA just gave its fans the middle finger, and they don't give a bleep about the NBA fans. Take a listen to what Charles Barkley had to say to Bill Simmons on the Ringer here. Take a listen to his comments.
I think the NBA's got a big problem. How are regular fans gonna like, okay, it's Tuesday, especially when they start putting games on.
Where do I go?
Well, like, because, sometimes the game's going to be on Peacock. And, like, it's not going to be on NBC. I think that's a huge dilemma for the NBA.
Guess what? They don't care.
I
They
agree.
got
took
so
the
much money. They're going to wipe their tears with cash.
Bill, I'm so glad you said that. I think it's a big deal because they just took all the money from all three networks. I don't think they give a about the fans. And I think this is going to come back to bite them, to be honest with you. And then the thing that's scary, this deal is for 11 years.
Right.
So now people can complain all they want to. For the next 11 years, they don't give a about the fans. They're like, y'all, if y'all find the games, fine. Just make sure the check clears.
So you heard what he had to say. What are my thoughts about this? Who disagrees with him? Who disagrees with him? I think he's speaking the honest gospel. Now, here's what's interesting. And this thought just occurred to me as we're doing this together. Usually, what happens is a lot of these former players and current, especially former players, they are all for whatever makes the most money. The current crop of players in the NBA, the Kevin Durant's and all of them, they don't really value fans. They just look at you guys like an ATM machine. Give me your money and shut up. It's one of the reasons why they don't even feel you should have an opinion on the sport that you pay. And just can you imagine that? You heard the comments that Dwayne Wade made? They believe that you shouldn't even be allowed to have an opinion on it. It's like you walking into a restaurant and you have one of these top chefs that work in there and you ask them for a steak and you're like, well, I didn't really like it. Shut up and eat your steak. You don't know what goes into making a steak. It's like, bro, I just paid for it. And given the fact that this steak ain't free, I have a right to give you feedback whether you like it or not. If I go stay in a hotel and you're supposed to be a 5-star hotel and some of your amenities are not up to par, your room service is not up to par, etc., 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 I'm going to talk. And you don't get to walk up to the customer and say, well, you don't own a hotel. What do you know about hospitality? You don't get to have an opinion on this. Who says this except crazed NBA players? Who else says this? Who goes out there and insults their consumers? But these guys. Not only are they out of touch, most of them are stupid. It's a fact. If these guys weren't playing basketball, God forbid what would have happened. Because one of the most fundamental things about business is your customers and ensuring that they're happy. This is a basic concept. But when you have guaranteed contracts and you know that people are going to show up regardless, then you get you get this kind of behavior from these guys. Oh, you don't deserve to have an opinion. If you never play, sit your ass down. You wouldn't even be where you are if we didn't give a damn about the sport you play. You would be playing at a park, a ruck up, or wherever it is, shooting hoops. If people didn't think the NBA was fun to watch, you wouldn't matter. This is what these guys forget. It's almost as if they feel like we're only here because of our yeah, your talent plays a role, but if people don't value it, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. It's all about the perceived value in entertainment. But to turn around and try to lecture NBA fans, oh, you don't know what you're talking about. You don't get to opinion. I don't need to be a professional basketball player, play collegiately or whatever it is to have an opinion about something I'm patronizing. If I'm spending my money, I get the right to have an opinion. I get the right. That's the trade-off. If I'm using my dollars, and last time I checked, I didn't steal my money and I'm working for it, then I have a right to have an opinion. And it'll be better if you shut up. How about that? And risk alienating your consumers. How about that concept? How about you shut up and respect the fans? What a concept. So I'm bringing it up to say, usually NBA players would be all for it. But Charles, who's a former player, is calling these guys out. Because yes, the NBA is making goo-gobs worth of money, but at what cost? At what cost is what he's saying. Charles seems like a real person. These guys just live in a bubble. In a bubble. It's like, go outside and put your hand on the ground, bro. Take off your shoes and walk on the earth. Let your feet touch the earth. Get off your high horse. Come back down to reality. And what kills me is that most of these guys come from poverty. They get to the level that they are and they forget, like as if they were never poor. They forget what the common man goes through. And they now turn into certified divas. Certified divas. It's unheard of. It is unheard of. These are my thoughts. Whatever you guys think, leave your thoughts in the comments. We catch you on the next show. I'm out. Peace.